welcome to The Explainer. So, be honest, have you ever felt like you're just talking at a prospect rather than really talking with them? Or maybe you constantly find yourself battling this massive wall of objections at the end of your calls. Well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're exploring a seriously fascinating concept that completely dismantles that outdated pitch-first mentality. It's called the AIIA Framework, and we're going to see how it shifts the focus entirely over to what the customer actually needs.
Okay, let's just jump right into the data, because the traditional sales pitch is, frankly, broken. The proof is stark. Nearly 70% of buyers say they are more likely to buy from reps who simply listen to them first. Just think about that for a second. Before you've even shown a single feature of your product, the simple act of listening drastically increases your chances of closing the deal. The modern buyer doesn't want to sit through a monologue, they just want to be heard.
And get this, when you actually take the time to do proper discovery, I mean really digging into the customer's world, you spend 50% less time fighting through that dreaded wall of customer objections later on. Objections usually just stem from us presenting solutions to problems they don't actually care about yet. But when you discover their true needs first, the value becomes totally self-evident, and all that friction, it just melts away.
Now, what is the ultimate payoff of this behavioral shift? It is massive. Sellers who adopt a consultative approach rather than just pitching right out of the gate don't just see a little bump in numbers, they're looking at a 4 times higher close rate. By taking the time to listen and discover up front, you're literally positioning yourself for exponentially greater success.
So what does this paradigm shift actually look like? Well, in the old pitch-first model, the rep talks and essentially decides what the customer needs. Predictably, this leads to low trust, high resistance, and closing feels like this high-pressure coercion. It's stressful. But the AIIA framework completely flips that dynamic. The customer does the talking, the rep listens and guides, and the customer actually discovers their own need with your help. The result is high trust, low resistance, and a close that honestly just feels like the most natural next step in the world.
Here is exactly how we're going to break down this highly structured 4-step solution today. We'll start with a quick overview, move through the ask and identify stages, explore the real need matrix, and wrap it all up with inform and action.
Let's dive right into part 1, the AIIA Framework overview.
So this framework gives us our foundation. It's a single, powerful method that brings infinite flexibility to every single customer call. AIIA stands for 4 sequential stages: ask, identify, inform, and action. And the sequence isn't just arbitrary, it's meticulously designed to mirror the natural, intuitive flow of a great human conversation. First, you ask with genuine curiosity. Then, you identify the real need beneath the surface. Next, you inform with targeted precision. And finally, you drive toward action with absolute confidence. It's so vital to remember that each stage feeds directly into the next. If you skip a stage, the whole sequence kind of falls apart.
Now, to keep yourself from rushing the pitch, which is a trap so many eager reps fall into, right? Time allocation is absolutely key. You should actually be spending up to 40% of your total call time just acting as a curious investigator in the ask stage. When you combine that with the identify stage, you're spending well over half your time purely focused on their world long before you ever even bring up your own solution. Okay, let's move right into stage 1, ask first.
This is the part where you literally earn the right to even mention your solution. Top producers deliberately slow things down right here. They guide the customer through 4 very specific types of discovery questions. First, you have situation questions to grasp their current context. Second, problem questions surfacing exactly where their current processes are breaking down. Third, impact questions, asking how much that friction is actually costing them in real dollars or lost hours. And finally, vision, letting them describe to you exactly what success looks like on their end.
Now here's a golden rule for this stage that is honestly incredibly hard for a lot of salespeople to do. Never interrupt. Seriously, the absolute best information almost always comes after their first sentence. Your primary tool here is actually silence. You've got to use silence after they answer, let them speak fully, and visibly take notes. Telling them, hey, let me write that down, powerfully signals that you genuinely care about their specific reality, not just hitting your quota.
All right, shifting gears to stage 2, identify needs.
This is the exact moment where all that raw discovery magically turns into a targeted diagnosis. To act as an empathetic analyst, rather than just, a salesperson pushing a product, you follow this structured 5-step process. First, listen fully without silently forming your response while they're talking. Second, mentally synthesize the core issue they're describing. Third, reflect that synthesized issue right back to them. Fourth, probe one level deeper. And fifth, explicitly confirm their core priority before you even think about moving on to the next stage.
Which leads us nicely into part 4, the real need matrix.
Here's the thing. Human beings are complicated. What a customer says they want is rarely what they actually require. In the real need matrix, sometimes you'll get a match. The customer knows exactly what they need and you have it. That's great. But most often, you're going to land in the deeper quadrant. The customer asks for X, but their real underlying need is actually Y. It's your rigorous discovery process that brings this gap to light, allowing you to position your solution as the exact bridge they didn't even realize they were missing. Once you've uncovered that deeper need, you want to use this highly effective reflection phrase. You just say, so if I'm understanding correctly, the main challenge is X, and it's costing you Y. Is that right? Reflecting back like this does 3 massive things for you. It confirms your own understanding, it makes the customer feel completely heard, and it builds an incredibly strong foundation of trust before you move forward.
And that brings us to our final section: inform, action, and close.
So the customer feels totally heard, they feel understood, and their real need is explicitly defined. Now we hit the culmination of the framework. In the inform stage, your role completely shifts. You step into the shoes of the confident advisor. You leverage all that trust and specific information you've gathered to essentially say, all right, here is exactly how we solve your problem. You are not giving a generic pitch anymore. Every single feature you mention is now laser-targeted directly at the exact pain point they just confirmed with you in the identify stage.
To wrap up our explainer today, the final piece of the puzzle is the action stage. Closing should never feel like a battle of wills or some high-pressure manipulation tactic. If you've truly listened and guided them to discover their own needs properly, closing is really just one simple, totally logical question. What is the natural next step for us? So I'll leave you with this question. On your very next call, are you going to pitch or are you going to listen?